and art in all aspects in this article, from architecture, the art of architecture, to how we
fashion, architecture, music,
yeah, exactly,
literature,
and
film.
A friend of mine sent me this article weeks and weeks ago, and it sort of stagnated in my inbox, and I've been working hard this week to get to inbox 0, the exalted nirvana stage of all technology loving people.
The productivity mecca.
Yeah, that's right. Productivity nirvana across 4 inboxes to get to inbox 0 for me. Anyway, so I processed that article and I said, I haven't read this yet. So I did. And he had, written just sort of his reaction to it.
All of your language is super technical.
Sort of like a droid here, going through everything. And as I read the article, man, it was just, I read a lot of articles and I don't always have a visceral, like, deep reaction to them, but it really gutted me as the word that I came up with. And I honestly felt after reading it, like a little like touch of panic setting in. It's the only word I can think of to describe it. And I, of course, had to send it to Alex because I want him to be in a panic state as well.
I'm always in a panic state. You're not doing anything to me.
That's my secret. I'm always in a panic state. So I sent it off to you, and I need to read it again just to get those extra layers of nuance and detail. But it basically was a gut punch because it goes through architecture, it goes through fashion, music, etc., and it just kind of gives examples and shows how everything just is the same. And the biggest one that got me was like apartment buildings, and and Omaha has got a lot of expansion. These neighborhoods that were a little rougher have been scooped up by young entrepreneurs and business people, small businesses, mom and pop shops making coffee shops and ice cream parlors and all that. And so now the residential stuff's moving in because the corporate interests see demand and they see opportunity. And they, have whatever.
They have to ruin it. No.
Whatever architecture firms design these buildings, and they could just all look like boring, inexpensive, designed by focus group things, and they're everywhere. And I read that article, and I was, I immediately wanted to go out and photograph them just to sort of like document, like, you're right, like this is actually true. And so it was just really, and then, I start looking back at my body of work as a content creator, a writer, and I'm like, the influence that Peter McKinnon's videos or these YouTubers, and like, oh, you got to do your B-roll like this. And, like you're not even thinking about it. You just sort of do it. And like the impact that has. And, and then the questions of, is anything really original, anymore? Is that even possible? Can I make a video?
Like, is anything original, period? But I mean, we are like very, we're a very mimetic society. Like, that's kind of how we approach things. Our species, maybe. And not society, species.
And I think there's originality in the sense that people take ingredients of multiple things that maybe don't seem connected, and then they combine them in a unique and interesting way where you can trace them back to the source, but in that unique combination there is a feeling of originality.
We talked about it before. It's like you take one turn, take another turn, take another turn,
right?
10 turns later you're at something
that's right,
almost original.
And so you see that in my work where I'm trying to incorporate, and I'm not the first person that used a typewriter to like do titles, obviously Van Neistat does it, movies have done it before.
All the typewriter channels.
Yeah, all the typewriter channels. You try to like come up with fresh ways to, make your point or to do what you do. I've always felt like my voice and perspective is unique, but I don't always want to deliver it in like the playbook way. Like, oh yeah, you got to do like a little B-roll montage at the beginning, and then you got to have like the lo-fi music, and then you do a little pre-lap with your vocals, and then you go into you sitting in like your studio with like a nice little edge light that's warm, and you got the the daylight balance light, like you just start checking all the like what was done before, just like the apartment buildings do. Okay, so we like the faux brick facade, and we like the metal texture in the middle. We want square windows. we do a little sign, we get that cool branding company to do our brand. You know what I mean? Like, you just start going through the machinery of what's worked in the past, and you just keep making it this recipe for, what's like a apple pie, or I don't know, like this recipe for this thing that just sort of like loses its specialness because it's just been distilled down to
it's the same every time.
It's the same everywhere.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the summer.